Kyle Busch won, and boy, I tell you, the old fans are having a heyday with the JGR Twitter right now. See, we told you, you know.
Yep.
I mean, I have to just people have to understand that Joe Gibbs wanted to sign Kyle Busch. They really tried, and they gave him a very, very good offer, but he did not want to take it and ended up taking probably a lot less because he had ran out of options at RCR. But he's doing all the right things right now. That's for sure. I mean, listen, Rick Hendrick did not let go of Kyle Busch because he didn't think he was talented, right? There was some baggage, and he did some things that rubbed Mr. H wrong, and they moved on. And I think that, the Kyle Busch fans should be grateful of Joe Gibbs Racing. They got Kyle 50-some of his wins, right? And they provided him great equipment. But that relationship just had run its course, unfortunately. When they always say that, like, winning makes everything easy, right? It covers up things.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do win, I think that, teams are willing to put up with a whole lot of other stuff. But when it got to the point where, it wasn't winning as much, there was not a person in the garage that thought that it was, Kyle Busch is just not the driver he once was. We all know he is, especially a motivated Kyle Busch, which there's two very different things. Like, just the ticked off Kyle Busch and the one that's, kind of angry with people and he's frustrated, and then the one that's motivated is two totally different guys, and you really kind of can see that on the racetrack as well. And I think he's ultra motivated right now. I think this is a reset for him, and he's resetting with a team that's very good, as we're seeing, right? That 8 team, Randall and that team they're fast. They were the fastest car last year, and they definitely had the fastest car this year. That's for sure. I mean, I thought that the one for the first part of the race probably showed the most strength, especially on the short run, but the 8 just kind of ran them down, and he runs that track so well. It's amazing. But yeah, I mean, I see y'all are dragging JGR, and I wish, even if I'm unbiased here, like, this was a tough situation where, I think that it was a situation where they wanted him back. They lost a ton. That company would cease to exist if they had to pay Kyle what he was demanding, especially after losing, Mars. Like,
right.
It would be impossible. It would be a detriment to all the JGR teams if he had to said, all right, well, you have to pay me this, which is what he said, or else I'm leaving. They had to make a business decision to stay in business, right? And so it's unfortunate. Kyle was a great teammate. I mentioned it last week on the pod that, he is such a fair racer on the racetrack. He's fast, and he's extremely skilled, as we know and we see. I mean, he's starting to put himself in the top, in my mind, in the top 5 consideration for greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just feel like 61 wins, I think he has now.
Yep.
In today's age, where there's more than 5 cars on the lead lap than what it used to be, it's harder to win now than it was back in the day. And for him to have 60 wins, I'm telling you, that's like 160 wins from 1960 to 1990. It really is. So he's accomplishing a lot. He's done it now 2 races into this relationship with RCR. We always talk about, too, and this has been said for many times, about, is this a new Kyle Busch? People say that because it's not really an endearing thing, like, is this a new Kyle? Because, at times, he is difficult to work with when things aren't going well. I think when things are going well, like they have the last 3 weeks, you're going to get the best Kyle Busch that you've ever seen. He's out doing things with his team guys, it looks like. They're very, they're showing that off. That's great. I mean, I know that RCR group in general, ever since I've been in the sport, that's been a very tight-knit group because they're in a different place than Charlotte, right? I mean, they're an hour and a half north, so they don't really pull from the same mechanics that what the other teams do in the Charlotte area. So everyone that kind of works at RCR is probably based somewhat up there in Welcome. So they do a lot together anyway. And hopefully that's, turning a new leaf with Kyle, and he's seeing that, like, when you really embrace this family
more
atmosphere.
camaraderie with his team than maybe what he had at JGR.
I'm not saying he didn't have it before, but again, it's when you're winning, it's easy to do those things, right? It's when you're struggling, it's easy to just mother everyone, right? So I just think that hopefully this is him turning the page for sure. I think that RCR got a great talent, like I said, maybe top 5 of all time. And just a great move by them. Chevrolet's dominated. I don't think that's too much of a surprise given that what I've seen on the bodies and.
So with that said, are you surprised that Kyle is off to this start with this new team?
Surprised? No,
not at all.
I mean, I think if you talk to people within the sport, RCR has one of the best, probably. I'm gonna say probably the best engine in the series over Hendrick. I mean, it's very many times they go on a dyno. RCR is P1. Like their engine department is right. They're on time. So you mix a really good car with a good team
and a
great engine and a great driver. Guess what? You're going to win. And that's what they're doing right now. So props to them. He dominated the last part of the race. I mean, he was probably 10, 15 car lengths in front of me when he pitted on the last stop. I was running 4th. We chose to go long on that strategy. I don't know if that was right or wrong. We lost by 13 seconds. Is
that what your play call was over the radio? That it was code for going
those
long?
Are code words. So like Bass. He was mentioning like Mexican food. Like those are all code words for either we're going to pit or we're going to stay. I would say, I don't know that really anyone really cares what we're doing, but all the teams kind of have code words like that. But it's cool. This isn't. I saw Chase Elliott mention after the race in an interview that like to Fox, he's like, well, "Are you surprised? Like, why are you guys surprised that he's got instant success? Like, he's a great driver. We all knew he was a great driver, right?"
I think it's the overall pre-next gen car, right? RCR was getting 1, maybe 2 wins a year as a team. Last year, Reddick won a handful. So I think just the question mark was, how is RCR going to perform as a whole with Kyle in the car now? And I think that question's been answered.
It's fair, but I think that everybody thought that he's gonna bring something to the table and he's gonna make them better, right?
For sure, he's gonna make them better, 100%.
Yeah,
but how much
a team
better?
that was already good, by the way, he's gonna make them better. So I think again, you pair a great driver with those things I just talked about, and you're gonna have a potent combination. So no, it's good for them. It's in the long haul, I think likely JGR has someone that they're going to be happy with for the next 10 to 15 years as well in Ty Gibbs. So we saw Hendrick Motorsports go through a reset. I think people were kind of down on them probably 4 to 5 years ago ish. The veterans left. The Dale Jr.'s retired. The Jeff Gordon's retired. The Jimmy Johnson's retired. And they brought in a young group. And that group didn't have instant success. I think they went through about a year of like struggles for Hendrick Motorsports, struggles, right? But in the long term, it paid off for them, and those drivers became good, great competitors of our sport and guys that win races. So I don't think anyone would argue that they've got one of the best lineups, but that's the same lineup that people were questioning just a few years ago. So. It was cool. I mean, I, I wonder like where's AD at
Is he going to
with
put a
this?
spotlight on AD?
You would think, right? I mean, I'm just let me just think out loud here. The last 4 wins at RCR with a 2-car team has been your teammate, and that teammate has changed, right? So, you got to think that this has got to be a measuring stick for AD to like, here's what the team's capable of. Here's what I need to get out of myself, and surely he's going to learn some things.
Yep. A
from
top
Kyle.
10 finish today for Austin, by the way.
Yeah,
He finished ninth.
Listen, the kid can grind himself to top tens. He does really, really good at that. I mean, the only person better at that is probably Kevin Harvick. That I've seen that even on their bad days, they find a way to finish in the top 10. I think I saw a crazy stat with Harvick that was like, just his consistency of always running well. He didn't always have a fast car, but he found a way to make it really good or finish the best he could with it. But yeah, you got to think AD's kind of, he's putting on a smile. I see him in the interview. I'm happy for him. Happy for him.
Hey, Glass would be great. I was going to push him to the win.
Yeah. That won't last long. I mean, there's not one competitor on the racetrack that is happy that their teammate outruns them. There's just, I mean, you can't be because, oh my gosh. And I see, I must read Twitter too much. People think that like, oh, you guys gave Kyle's the equipment last year. Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about? The car that he raced in Dover was probably the car that we raced 3 weeks beforehand. The car I won this track with, the one he probably finished 20th with, the week before. Like, there is no, here's Kyle's car and here's Denny's car. It's like they go in a pool and we just scatter them all around and we somehow just, here's your car and here's that person's car. They're all the same. The only thing different with cars nowadays is what does the driver tell the crew chief information-wise to make them put a better setup under it that fits their style. So, and I've driven a lot of Kyle's cars during tests at JGR, and I can't believe how tight he runs the race car. Now I run mine on the tighter side as well. Those you that are novices here, tight means the front end won't turn. So you go into a corner, if you drive in too fast, your front end will hit the wall first. If the car is too loose, the back end hits the wall first. So his car is planted in the back. Like he has a lot. His cars are very, very tight, and he finds a way to make tons of speed with them. So another best person that did that was Jeff Gordon. He ran a really tight race car, and he won a boatload of races. So they're making it work. So
when your teammate is performing really well, right? And what does that? In what way does it motivate you, like to run better? Are you wanting them to perform less so that they come down to your level?
No.
Or like how? I don't know.
You just want to beat them. You want to beat them. They're in the same equipment you're in. So like, I can tell you this: the JGR is a 4-car team. If I wasn't the top JGR car, at least now this is my expectations, right? Because I believe in myself, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not the highest finishing JGR car, at least 10 of those 36 races, then I need to look in the mirror and say like, you got to get better.
Right. Well, so are you studying
like
more?
If my teammate wins 9 races and I win 1, that's a me problem. And
right.
It's happened. I mean, it's happened. I've had years where I've been probably 4 wins away from the highest teammate. But it did force me to look at myself and say, well, how can I get better? What are they doing in the same exact equipment that is better? And it's more similar. The equipment is more similar than it's ever been. So even back in the day, you had crew chiefs that would not only set up their cars different, they would build the bodies different on their cars because that's just what they wanted to do. My crew chief says, well, I want my seat post cut this way or that way. And the other one says, well, I would like my car built this way. And that's not around nowadays. Everyone's car is the same.
So are you just in the sim more, studying more to overcome that?
Yeah, but I think I'm more looking at my teammates' data to see, like, because I know that we have the same engine, we have the same body, and there's three things that are different, right? The big components: the engine, the body, the driver. And so those are the things that, the driver's the only thing that's different between me and my teammates. So that's where I can get the most useful information is from them.